Hello and welcome. My name is Evenlease, and I'm going to be doing a review of the Freelancer Max. This is the cargo variant of the ever so popular Freelancer, and I would say that it is definitely a great ship, especially for cargo. So let's go ahead and take a look at it and see what it's like. You know, this is a great ship. It honestly does pretty much everything you want it to do. You know, you don't get this ship just to go and do combat. And you don't get this ship just to go and do cargo. You got a little bit of a mix in there. It's not as much as like the Freelancer MISC. That is more of a combat ship, but this one here is all about cargo with a good defensive edge to it. So let's take a look at it here and see what we got. Starting off, she is a good-looking ship. The colors on it are a little bit in question. I mean, the orange and the white, that is all preference. There will be sooner or later customization options, and that's hopefully going to be one of the things that's customizable, is the color scheme on this. Maybe instead of orange, you can make it green or blue or red or black. Black would be cool. That would be very cool. There's always that possibility. They do say that they want to have customization on all ships, but this is the starting color on the Freelancer Max. And everything on this ship is starting and original, so the weapons, the systems, everything on here is original. So once I do get into her and fly, you'll see how she handles. You won't get the real feel for it until you get behind the stick yourself, but that's okay. I'll at least be able to give you a good heads up on what she's like. So as you can see here, initially starting out with, you have two guns here on this left, and I'm going to call it a turret because technically it is a turret. Now, it's going to be controlled by a seat in the future, I believe, from what I understand, so it's not going to be pilot controlled. Now, that's not to say you wouldn't be able to slave it to the pilot, but as of right now, it is slaved to the pilot, just like the other side. And then these guns here are the MISC 9 laser autocannons. So these things pack a punch. They're not as overpowered as they used to be, but they still pack a good punch. You have four of them. There's two on each side. Now, this overall burst DPS damage, and I'm going to start off with burst, is at 2,353 with this starting weapons, which is great. That's awesome. And now that's probably counting the back turret with it as well. You know, your sustained DPS is 2,202, this is really good for a cargo ship, in my opinion. This burst damage is, I mean, the Freelancers, they don't disappoint. So these guns here, they're great guns. They do exactly what you need them to do. They'll put up a good defense, and honestly, you can't go wrong with that. You could always switch them out for ballistics and put on some miniguns or, you know, whatever you want to do, whatever fits your preference. But as a starting weapon, those things are great. Each one of them produces 340 DPS and uses about 300. Does about 300 energy damage. So it's stated to have about 22,588 max cooling a shot. You know, that's actually a really good gun. I haven't had an overheating issue with this yet. It's approximately about 18 seconds until they overheat as sustained fire, which is really good. They have a 3,400 meter range, which is great. So that's always good in a fight. And they are gimbaled. So when you have all four guns going gimbaled, and right now that's kind of the meta is gimbaled, so when you're out there and you're in a fight, the gimbaled assist is really going to help you, which is kind of an edge over some of the ships out there right now, especially if you don't get rid of, you know, your fixed weapons and you stick with the fixed. Not to say that there aren't pilots out there that can really handle a fixed weapon ship, but the gimbaled assist definitely does help most pilots and can actually put the edge against, you know, other aircraft. Now, on the top behind the ship here, you have a turret. Let me get over to that side real quick. And then on the turret itself, you have two DR Model XJ2s. And they do a combined 497 DPS. So the turrets are right on up there. And it's not a bad turret. The only complaint I would have in regards to this turret is the front shield, which is right in front of it. That kind of blocks it from doing anything straightforward on the ship and any sort of defense or attacking maneuver. So it primarily has like from here going all the way around. You know, it's got a good cone, but the cone on the front is just not good. So that definitely, and that really kind of does, you know, hinder its ability, because if you're attacking forward and you have a turret gun in there, it makes it really difficult for the turret gunner to be effective. It's better for, you know, rear and upper defense while you're in a fight. Which, not to say that's not a bad thing. And those are the base weapons, the DR model XJ2s. They're pretty decent, you know. That's a pretty high DPS for the combined, and I'd say I would go with it. It's got probably about a 2,200 meter range on those weapons, and I just don't have a gunner in there often enough to really say whether or not it really helps out. But I know for a fact when it comes down to forward face, it just doesn't do you much, which is fine. Maybe sooner or later they'll make it to where that shield in the front, or maybe the turret will raise a little bit like on a Constellation. I'm hoping they kind of either shrink that shield down or they get rid of it altogether, because it doesn't really add much design element to the ship, in my opinion. Now, when it comes down to missiles, as you can see on the ship itself, once I get over to that side here, you have two different size missiles on here. You got the Dominator 2s and the Thunderbolt 3s. The Thunderbolt 3s are, of course, the ones here on the right. Cool, that's a picture of me. Hi. So, that's your Thunderbolt 3s. And then on the left, you got your Dominator 2s. They're both really great missiles, and they definitely do a fantastic job at, you know, putting a target behind where they need to be. You know, it keeps them off your back. One of the things I suggest with the payload like this is to always keep a lock on your target. Don't try to expend your missiles right away. You know, kind of get them on the edge of their seat and keep them from getting too close. And then don't ever fire them when they're heading straight on with you if they're moving quick. If they're a fast mover like a arrow or something, you're more than likely just going to be wasting a rocket. Wait until you get behind them and you know for a fact that you're going to be behind them for a minute, and these missiles will catch up and do pretty good damage. The Thunderbolt 3s have 4,654 mixed damage, and the Dominator 2s are sitting at 3,894. The Dominator 2s takes approximately 1.7 seconds to lock, with the Thunderbolt 3s at about 3.5 seconds to lock. I would say that's a pretty good amount of damage. You got two missiles of the Dominator 2s on each wing, and you also got two missiles of the Thunderbolt 3s on each wing. Now with that, you have a total missile count of 8, obviously, and total missile damage of approximately 34,000, which is that's a pretty heavy-hitting missile payload for a ship like this. Now, one of the things I would say in regards to this is that the ship itself has great weapons. She sits at a good, with that missile damage and the guns, you're sitting at a very good deterrence from any ship really attacking you, which is great. Now, when you're landed, the ship looks great. It has a great profile to it. She sits above the ground a good ways, and she honestly looks great. A lot of people have some pretty explicit names for this ship, but I honestly think it's a great looking boat. I couldn't be happier with it. And the Freelancer Max does come with a different engine setup than the other Freelancers. From everything I've seen, this is a dual engine setup on each wing. She's much thicker, and they need to do that because it carries a lot more cargo. As you can see, these things are fat engines. They're huge, which is, I love them. They're great. And the body here is really wide compared to the regular Freelancer. Regular Freelancer is probably quarter less than that. I would probably have to assume around that. Now, the engines, back to that. I love them. You know, they really do get you where you need to go, and they're not slow either. Your normal speed is around 154. Your max speed, 1,005, which is good. You know, no problems there. You move quick. You're running a power plant, which is called the Daybreak power plant. That's the stock one. It gives you about 6,200 maximum power generation per second, which is good. And then you got two shield generators, the 5MA Chamali shield generators. They produce about 21,000, almost 22,000 shield capacity each. So this ship's shields are very, very thick. They sit at about 43,000, almost 44,000. And then you're looking with 2 coolers, the Frostar EXs. They're I'd say they're pretty decent. They have a 4 million max cooling a second, which that's pretty crazy in my opinion. They do what they need to do, especially with the standard loadout on this ship. You're never going to really run into a cooling issue. The only time you are is when you are leaving space and, you know, you're overburning the afterburner there, and that's when you're going to run into an overheat issue. Let's go ahead and open up the back of her here. As you can see, ramp comes down. She's pretty nice. She could definitely fit a vehicle in here. A little fidgety there. This here, they're looking to get rid of these mounts or maybe tuck them in to the turret here, so when you bring a vehicle in, that doesn't get hit. Because this has plenty of space for a couple, maybe even 2 vehicles. Maybe you could fit 2 Cyclones in here or something. But you can definitely see that it's got a very, very big cargo space, as outlined. Then over here, you got a lot of your, you know, your systems here on the left, the right. You got like radar, avionics, another radar, shields, power. As you can see, you can't open any of them yet. It's not upgraded like the Vanguard Warden where you can open up all your doors quite yet. So that's the interior cargo space here. You got a lot of neat little things, you know. Your lighting's great in here when you have your engines on, which, not your engines, your power systems. I always have my power systems on. I never leave my engines on when I'm landed, but that's just me, it seems. Because I just don't see a point of running the engines when I'm on the ground. I keep the power systems on though, so I can go ahead and keep my shields up. As you can see here, you can fit more cargo here in these spaces as listed cargo, and they do stack, and they stack pretty high. You also have a docking ring right above you, which is going to be great when they add either ship to ship or ship to station docking. More cargo here on the other side. Now if you go through the door here, this is where your living quarters are. You got 4 beds, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got yourself over here, open up. You got yourself a nice little, you know, you got some like towels or, you know, blankets, whatever you put here. You got yourself some cups, some mugs. Can't touch them yet, but you'll get there. You got yourself, looks like a microwave oven, coffee maker, maybe a drink system, maybe a storage panel up here once that becomes a little bit more active. Now watch your hand, as this says. If your hand gets crushed, it's going to hurt. Then over here, you got yourself a little restroom. As you can see, you can wash your hands, take a shower, and sooner or later, this here will have a release and pull out a nice toilet. So you'll just be sitting here going to the restroom. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, it's great. You know, you'll just be sitting here. You're not going to have much room. Honestly, if you're sitting in this toilet, I don't know if you want to shut the door. You're going to be pretty claustrophobic in there. Oh, man. Hopefully it's got a good like air evac system in there, because you don't want to stink out the rest of the cab for everybody. So that's pretty good. Here you got yourself an engineer station. Obviously you can't do anything with it yet, but once you're able to, that's going to be pretty cool. You could just control some shields, do whatever you need to do. Right here is another door. Now this door leads to the outside, obviously. As you can see, it's a good exit. This is the exit I primarily use when I'm running cargo. Oh, almost just died. I've heard about this killer door. Nah, I'm just kidding. I think that was a bug that was fixed before. This ladder used to pretty much take you out of the game, kill you. But that, since then, has been fixed. Here's your beds. You don't have any screens on the bottom of the bunks or anything, so you're not going to be doing any work while you're here. Escape Pod A. Interesting. So these are escape pods. I apologize. They're beds, but they're also escape pods, it seems to be. I must have misread that in the manual. I'm guessing they eject from the side of the ship. Well, that's cool. The more you know. Up here, as you can see, as everybody likes to call it, the mailbox entrance for your visual sight out of the front of the ship. If I could speak English. And then you got your windows up top here. You got your driver's seat here, or pilot seat. Over here you got the co-pilot seat. My guy is about to experience that bug where he gets very, very out of oxygen. Back here you got the 2 turret controls as what everybody believes they're going to be. You know, controlling the left side, controlling the right side. As of right now, they are just engineer stations. let's go ahead and get into the pilot seat, see if I can get my guy to calm down a little bit, and continue checking out this ship. As you can see, I already have the ship on. As I said before, I like to keep the systems online, keep the lights going, keep shields up just in case I get attacked. So let's go ahead and pull this ramp up. Awesome. Okay, so back to the system stats on this. You got the Quantum drive, which is the Odyssey drive. It moves pretty nicely. I can go, I'd say 1.9 million kilometer journey takes me 19 seconds. So it's pretty much 100,000 kilometers a second, which is pretty good in my opinion. I haven't had any issues with the Quantum drive in this ship. It runs great. I haven't had any kicking me out or anything, and she's got a good assortment of fuel on her. She can definitely make the journey to Hurston back and forth quite a few times. She has a total quantum fuel of 2,500, quantum range of 107, and a cargo capacity. Like I said, it carries a lot of cargo. It carries 120 SCU, so that's 120,000 units, which is great. It's always awesome. Now with that, let's go ahead and take her up into the air and see how she flies. And then I'll take her to a landing zone and we will get some cargo in there and see what she looks like. Let's go ahead and start up those engines and hear them spool up.
Engines on.
As you can see, it's not as much of a oomph or something crazy like the Andromeda or some of the bigger ships, but she definitely has a great engine system. Back here, when you're actually listening to her, you can hear those engines. They're hefty. They're big engines. So let's go ahead and get ourselves over to a place to get some cargo in her, and while we do that, we can see how she flies. We'll go ahead and head over to the Shubing. Let's head over to ArcCorp Mining. Let's see what that looks like. It's going to be on the other side of the moon, so that gives me a demonstration of what it looks like to break atmosphere on Daymar, and yeah, see how she flies. So I pulled the landing gear up, and now I'm going to break out of hover mode, because with 3.6 you still got hover mode on here, which I'm already out of now. All I do is I face my nose down, press shift, and press spacebar at the same time, and it gets her going. As you can see, you got an annoying light flicker, but that's just the sunlight glaring through the windows. Now, when turning, she is a big ship, so she takes a while for her to fully turn. Now, if you kind of turn into it like this, it's not nearly as bad, but if you just keep her straight and you're like this, you're definitely going to have a little bit of lag behind, kind of fishtail the rear. But she's a quick ship. She moves pretty decently in atmosphere. Alright, so let's get rid of that light flicker that's heading on right now with the sun. Now, on Daymar, like with anything, you have to break 2,000 altitude and Daymar. Other ships like, other planets like Hurston or ArcCorp is more around 80 to 100,000, but Daymar is a very light atmosphere. So at this point, I can go ahead and slow her down, and I can go ahead and jump. Now you're gonna be like, "What are you doing? Why are you jumping into the planet?" Oh, this is just how you do it. Because as you can see, you're telling your computer systems to go ahead and aim for that as your destination, so it's going to spool you up, bring you to the other side of the planet. Now, once we get the ArcCorp, I'm going to try to put as much cargo into the back of this thing as I can to show you just how she looks while she's loaded with cargo. Show you the access points for the turret when it has cargo. As you can see, we have 2 contacts in the area. One's on the ground, and one's to my right. They both look green, though, so hopefully they're not of any sort of issue to me. I'm going to do some ship scans to see what we got going on here, though, just to make sure. Okay, looks like he's just out here getting cargo with his Constellation. Sounds good to me. And I'm not sure what we got going on over here. It looks like another ship coming in. So I'm going to back her down on the speed and do a ship scan, see what we got going on. Yeah. In a moment here. Kind of doing a little bit of forward inertia. Drake Caterpillar. Okay. So I'm betting you the cat's just coming in to get some cargo just like the rest of us. So let's go ahead and head down, get some cargo, and show you what it looks like. Okay, now that we have gotten some cargo on the ship, let's go ahead and take a look. She is full right now. As you can see, the cargo goes to the ceiling here in this little area. Can't squeeze in here, so can't like hide. Hide. And then if you go back here, cargo once again, all the way to the ceiling. Now you do have room to walk around on both sides of this ship. I've noticed on some Freelancer variants it takes away the ability to walk around on the left side here. Here's your turret access. So I feel like once they get rid of that, you might be even able to stock cargo here. That would be kind of nice, but it might just not be. It might just be in the way just a little. So, but otherwise, you can walk around on both sides. It's got a lot of room. 120 SCU is great. I mean, nothing better than moving that much cargo, other than the Caterpillar or other ships that can carry just as much or more. But for the Freelancer Max and its current price tag, the amount of cargo I'm moving right now is perfect. I couldn't ask for anything better. You know, it's a great ship. It has great guns. Overall, it's a great purchase. Do I think it's worth the amount of money? Yes. $150 for a ship that does that much cargo and still has a good gun system, and it looks great. It reminds me a lot of like Serenity or Firefly, the show, because it's just a great looking ship. It looks good, and she's got a lot of power behind her. Got some good guns. The guns sound interesting, but they're still great guns. They work great. Everything just works great with this ship. Other than the lights. The headlights don't work. Every time you turn on the lights, it just shows up here. So that's a work in progress, but I'm sure they'll figure that out soon enough. Right now, the sun's coming up on Daymar. Looks great. I'm going to get this cargo to Olisar. Otherwise, this is my ship review of the Freelancer Max. It is my first ship review, so don't mind. It's a little edgy here and there. Just know that the weapons are good, the ship is good. It does turn like what you would expect a boat to turn like. It's not a small ship. It definitely has its moments where you're like, holy cow, can you turn a little bit slower? But it's not a Caterpillar. When it comes to the turn ratio, you can definitely turn it much quicker than something like a Caterpillar. Otherwise, I couldn't ask for a better Freelancer. Unless you're looking for the combat variant, then you go with the MISC. If you're looking for something a little bit more exploration, you go with the DUR. If you just want the base works great too. It's all dependent on what you're willing to spend and your budget, but you can't go wrong with any Freelancer variant. I haven't reviewed the other ones, and I might not. It really depends on what everybody, likes and wants to hear from me in the review. But just know you won't go wrong getting a Freelancer. Especially one like this if you're looking for cargo, as she has just, look at that wide body on her. She's a great ship. You wouldn't go wrong getting this ship. And worst case, if you get it and you just do not like it, it's as easy as melting and moving on to a ship that you do. Because in the end, that's my ship review. And I give this ship 9 out of 10. I dock at one point because that turret and that turret shield, that just bothers me. You cannot face forward with the guns if you're firing forward. You have your angle of attack with that turret just can't do anything straightforward, which is a bummer. but that's really the only thing I can dock on this ship, because otherwise she is a great boat. I'm going to go drop off my cargo. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you in the verse.